Okay, here we go. Now we're live. We can keep talking. If we're going to talk about the good stuff, let's get on the books for it here, guys. Hey, True Believers, England team here. We're going to be talking about whatever the hell you want. What's been going on? Chuck Dixon has did a little question and answer thing not too long ago and talked about how Marvel hates the character, hates the police, hates the army, and thus, because they are our protectors, kind of hates you. I don't know if I would go so far, but damn, it does. There is evidence to say that they don't give a shit about you. That's for sure. So we're going to be discussing that. Whatever the heck has been going on, whatever you guys want to talk about, it's Monday. We just talk about topics in general, whatever is good for the and bad for the comic book community. And with me, of course, we've got the Vil Black Cat.
What up, people?
And he is under the bridge where I used to work. We have the real Dr. VENKMAN, except no substitutes.
Or Dr. V, whatever you prefer.
There you go. And Eric Back Issue Breen. How you doing, sir?
I'm Ducky.
You're Ducky. You look like a grumpy old man tonight, man. What's up?
Well, you're not. You don't have the hairline for Ducky.
He's
not Lex Luthor.
What do you want? The old soft shoe?
I do, actually. Can you, dance around a little bit for us? Dance, monkey, dance. Hello to Helium in a disguise and Eloise, who's stopping by to say hi, and I certainly appreciate that. And also, don't forget to click like and do all that kind of stuff as we go on here. But first, I think, why not? Let's get right down to business and talk about this thing. This is from Bounding Into Comics. And Chuck Dixon, Marvel Comics' contempt for the Punisher and deep-seated dislike of the police and military. It says longtime Punisher creator Chuck Dixon recently weighed in on the changes Marvel Comics is making on the Punisher. And as we know, they're going to be going from that awesome skull to this Cobra Commander. He's supposed to be Commander of the Hand. I'm thinking he's going to go full on. I think that he's the new G.I. Joe character. That is a ridiculous, ridiculous symbol. But you know what? Here's the thing. I've got to applaud Marvel for this, Eric. Because I don't think anyone is going to find that symbol so cool they're going to put it on their shoulder or their vest plate.
I would agree, and I'd also say, if just by changing the logo on...
You still here?
Or am I the one that got lost?
You're frozen. You're like Bob Ross, just smiling away.
Yep.
It's all right. I'll let him back when he gets back in there. But yeah, that's
take over the stream a day early.
For the younger generation that played Halo, that is a Halo symbol on his chest.
Well, I was going to say, if you can just change the logo on your chest and look 25 years younger, because this Punisher is going to get carded.
I want Master Chief to come out as a cameo in this book. If you like,
getting a new Eric Green symbol.
Well, he does have Eric Breen does have a bird, or possibly two, to show you.
If I would get a new chest symbol, but then I turn one.
I guess the whole Punisher thing coming back is like, I don't need it.
Hey, he's gone. Why stop there?
Well, okay, Breen, you can go leave.
Better Breen.
Oh, well, the old in with the new. Wow, audio is being crap. Black Lotus, can you hear me? Press 1 if you can. If you can hear any of us, press 1. It's still saying we only have 4 people watching, so I don't know if that's what's going on with that. Maybe there's no one wants to watch us. To Helium, how's it going? He is Marvel's new super chief. Okay, cool. You guys can still hear us. Florida man is having problems down there. They took away his Wi-Fi and his food. All right. So I guess we can still talk about Punisher, or we don't talk about anything really. We can talk about who. Okay. Well, here's a question: who's actually going to watch the Super Bowl later this Sunday, or are you just tired of the Super Bowls?
Nothing here, so I can care less.
Oh. I didn't know you speak for everybody.
I
know Breen's going to watch it.
I think I may tune in.
Yeah. Right. They must think he's a trucker. That's because he took forever to send Air cookies. So yeah, there he is. Welcome back, sir.
Hey.
Welcome back.
That was
Welcome
weird.
back.
And joining us today on this stream is England Team from that YouTube channel that was once famous.
There you go. Thank you. Yes, I'm thinking Dr. VENKMAN here is trying to really kick me out of my own show.
I don't want to do that at all. Your camera does it for you. The Wi-Fi. Your Wi-Fi kicked you out.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell that is, because it's been A-OK all day long, and then it just decided, hey, you're going live?
It's Gail.
Told you to be nicer to the AIs because they're taking over.
That's it.
It's the wifey.
Exactly
Gail, cut the internet. Cut the internet now.
Let's see.
No, she wants the internet. That keeps him occupied and away from her.
So did y'all continue the Punisher, or did it completely just go off into chaos?
We stopped where you showed the symbol and you said something, and then you went, "Oh God, I'm gone."
Okay,
No,
so I was talking about.
Stop sharing.
I don't know if y'all heard, but I was looking at it and I was thinking the one thing that Marvel got right was the fact that this new symbol is so freaking ugly. Nobody is going to steal it. No cop is going to put this ugly ass thing onto their what did I just share out?
Well, my thing is, I think this might be short-lived.
How did I share out YouTube? I didn't want to share out YouTube. What the hell's going on?
You're so vain.
Huh?
Said you're so vain. You wanted to watch yourself
and
share everybody that you're watching yourself.
Goodness, all the problems. You know, hey, live TV. I was thinking this is so freaking ugly. You're not going to get any badass cop wanting to put it on there.
After you humbly exited the stream, I told Breen I don't think anybody really cares about Punisher anymore. Really.
Seriously?
Well, look what they're doing. If they're going to do this, why? I mean, the last Punisher book was Becky Cloonan, right? 2018. I'm not sure how well that did.
Mm-hmm.
I was out of comics.
It was the Gardeners miniseries.
The
one
kid,
you were praising.
The right to a point. The Marvel Comics, I think, at this point is just embarrassed by the character because he represents everything they detest. But the normies, he's incredibly popular with them, which means they've got a dilemma. The live action property Punisher is enormously popular, but the comic book version, it's so far removed from anything that was worth reading.
Well, the last one, in I think it was 2018, 2019, there was a Punisher that was. Hold on, let me finish. There was an actual Punisher series where he was violent as hell. He was exactly what you want Frank Castle to be. It's just recently with this new push to get rid of everything they disagree with that is really pushed the Punisher to the edge. I mean, there was rumblings, but ever since in the last couple of years, there's been a cultural shift, a cultural push, as I said, to remove anything conservative, anything that might go against their narrative, anything that they don't particularly like. The Twitter mob is what I'm talking about, the Twidiots. Anything they don't like, it has to go. It has to freaking go. And if it is, if it's something, I don't know who is exactly behind all this. Like, what is the central group that decides today we're going to go after this character? Today we're going to go after this person. Now we're seeing Joe Rogan being raked across the coals. But what is it that makes them decide now it's got to be the Punisher? But here I'm going to ask this question, and I want you to answer honestly. Do you give a shit? Seriously. Now, granted, this is content. We want to do a live show, so we need something to talk about. But did you buy the last Punisher series? Would you buy the next one, even if it was regular Punisher? I think you were onto something, Eric. I think ultimately nobody cares. The only reason why we care about the Punisher now is because they're going to change it for a dumbass reason.
Yeah, the last Punisher series, in my opinion, that was worth reading was, oddly enough, Greg Rucka. The whole thing started around a mob wedding that everybody was killed but the bride, and she teamed up with Frank to get revenge for herself. And Frank was obviously after the people that wiped out the wedding. But it was the closest thing to a Dixon, Barron, or Grant version of Punisher that probably that we got in the 21st century, to be honest. I mean, there were decent runs. I mean, the Punisher War Journal during Secret Invasion and Dark Reign was good. And there was a couple other miniseries where he, you know, that had some life to it. But even the one with the violence that you were talking about, I don't even remember that.
Yeah,
and I'm not doing my bit right now. I mean, it's just like if you do something so against type for so many years, and then you finally give people what they want, or enough of them around to even notice.
Yeah.
So that probably didn't sell either. So they just pulled the plug on that as well.
I was going to say the last Punisher, actually, I was wrong. It wasn't Black Ink in 2018. It was the 2019 little 6-issue miniseries by Garth Ennis, Punisher Soviet, which was a callback to the Welcome Back Frank, you know.
Different era. I mean,
different era, but it still had the same amount of violence with Garth Ennis, the same feeling. That's probably the last time you're going to get a rated R Punisher in a book.
I didn't mean different. I misspoke when I said that. It's the Garth Ennis Punisher isn't even really the same one as the Marvel proper. It's sort of like a darker take on it. I mean, it's the same character, it's the same same person, but it's not really. It's not in continuity. It's just kind of like a different take on Frank. And I'm surprised Marvel greenlit that.
Well,
that recently.
Let's go along here. Dixon's comments regarding the Punisher came on his YouTube channel and Ask Chuck Dixon 95 while responding a question asked by, I guess, a viewer named Craig Welter. If it's true that Marvel really did change the Punisher symbol because they don't like the kind of people who like it, i.e. police and military, then it begs the question, why do the people at Marvel hate their fans so much? Why would anyone at Marvel hire people that hate the fans? Hating and trying to annoy the fans of your character seems like a terrible business strategy. And for a while, if you remember, when we were at the height of the customer revolution that used to be what we would call Comicsgate, or what they called anyway, we didn't name ourselves that. They actually said it's good to piss off your fans, because what they believe is a pissed off fan is an active fan. It's somebody who's talking about it. It's somebody who is interacting. And if they're doing that, then they're buying. But that's not so. And I pointed this out so many times. Occasionally it bled into others. I'm glad that other people picked it up as well. It's fine. If you subvert expectations and piss people off, but in a decent way, they might be mad and they might be engaged. That was the word I was looking for. They might be engaged. But if you continue to do it, they're going to disengage. So many people, much like Eric Breen here, has left Marvel and DC because they just don't get that fact. Not Eric Breen and his ilk, but I'm talking about Marvel and DC. They've disregarded the fans. They've pissed off the fans as if that's actually a marketing strategy. And so many people have left. Now, Comicron, I saw a tweet from them saying, oh, no, guys, actually comic book sales are up. We're not seeing it. And I know we can't compare it to the 90s, because between the 90s and now, internet has happened. But
the issue with that is they're showing dollar sales and prices are up.
Yeah.
And two is that they're including other stuff like manga, European comics, graphic novels.
Mamba. I don't know why I said that. Manga gets counted as a graphic novel, by the way, when it comes to Comicron. But yes, we've seen it. And the whole idea that your fans being pissed off is good for sales, no. Getting them excited, even if it angers them a little bit for a story, may be good. But continuously pissing them off, And that's why we're going, after this, we're going to break into our second story. Some thoughts I have on the Batman and the New 52, the whole 9 yards, as far as that's concerned, all points. But let's continue on here. Dixon responded, it kind of does, doesn't it? They have contempt for the Punisher, this new crowd of editors. And quite frankly, when I was at Marvel writing Punisher in the 90s, there were quite a few editors who didn't like the Punisher. They sure like to have him show up in their books because it would increase sales, but they didn't like him as a character. And Marvel didn't seek those kind of readers even then. They certainly don't seek those kind of readers who would like the Punisher now. In addition to their contempt for the Punisher, I think this current crop of editors has a deep-seated dislike of the police and the military as well. So it's the old gang of deplorables thing. They don't want to deal with them, and they don't like the idea that they use his symbol. And I think they don't quite understand why the police and military adopted the Punisher symbol. And he goes on to say, first of all, it's one of the coolest symbols in comics, and I think we can all agree. I think it's right behind the Batman, and Superman and Spider-Man is one of the coolest symbols. It's iconic, and it also representative of badass, and let's face it, Frank Castle is the biggest badass in the Marvel Universe. You could say, oh, well, Wolverine. Well, Wolverine is practically unkillable, so he can afford to be badass. The Punisher, not so much. He's a self-made man, much like Batman. Batman, the biggest badass in the DC universe. They are just both average guys with the will to seek justice in their own way. So Dixon continues, and the Punisher is eminently killable. He's in danger every time he leaves his house. Sometimes he's in danger when he's at home because he's made so many enemies. And so I think that's what the police and military are looking at, that this is a badass symbol for a badass character. Some of them may not even be aware that the symbol goes with the comic book character. I don't know. Everybody's not into comics. Trust me. In fact, the vast majority of people are not. So Chuck continues to say, the woke crowd at Marvel are changing the symbol and changing the Punisher's entire modus. He's carrying samurai swords now because they are embarrassed. They are embarrassed to be associated with the people who probably don't share their worldview, and that's really as simple as it gets. He then stated, and do they hate their fans? Well, yeah, except they've converted so many of their fans into non-fans now. So many people who follow Marvel for years and years have stopped. Right, Eric?
Yeah, and when you get done, there's something I would like to say.
Okay, they have gone away. They've left comics or are looking for some alternative to what Marvel is offering. Go on ahead, sir.
I've been saying for years, for the couple years where I was just a name in the chat, Marvel, DC, the mainstream comic book industry is fundamentally trying to change their audience, because the people that work for those companies now belong to an ideology that if you do not agree with them, you really don't have a right to exist in their eyes. And they don't want anything to do with you, including buying their products. That embarrasses them. So they've been trying to get this audience that I'm still not sure exists. Now, fortunately for people like me, it's a big enough company that they do still produce the stuff from their past that people do want, which I'm actually kind of surprised they still do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, because at some point the ideology is going to become all pervasive, and they're probably going to stop that as well, or just censor it and change it, like the Luke Cage Epic Collection when they changed one of the lines. And somehow got Steve Englehart to apologize for it from something he did 50 years ago.
That's ridiculous.
It
never
is.
Freaking apologize.
No, but
never.
It's easy to understand when you understand the people that have taken over the industry. That's why most of the conservatives have either gone off on their own or just never speak their politics, and you know who they are because they never speak their politics. And I guess some of them have built up enough of a track record that they're still useful to the companies that employ them, as long as they don't put it in their work.
It's ridiculous that they treat these the creators that have built what they're doing. What gets me as far as all this is concerned is the Vita Ayelas of the world here, the Alexis Salon. Well, actually, he's over at Upshot doing pretty damn good. These people who are just trouncing these characters that we know and love, they're standing on the shoulders of geniuses, and they're kicking them into the quicksand. You know, it's like,
but the audience they don't want epic stories. They want social change. That it's more important to these people that are producing the books and the people they want to buy the books that John Kent is fighting climate change and lecturing his parents. That's the audience they want to care about when they read those books.
According to this article, I was looking up the meaning behind the logo itself, the skull logo.
Yeah.
And it says, apart from just making the Punisher instantly recognizable, the Death's Head skull emblem serves other purposes. Helps lure the enemy's fire to the area of his armor that's protected much better than the rest, and it helps.
Yeah, that was a Frank Miller thing, actually.
Yeah. But also, though, it says the symbol is injustice returning to criminals. The symbol is typically the last thing the victims see, and the skull is a reminder of the time when the comics character spent in Vietnam. There, he used the emblem to taunt the soldiers who captured him. Yeah, the Navy SEALs, the thing like they have to go through just to get into that, be a SEAL. When they use the logo, it's on their bags and stuff like that.
Yeah, but they kill.
They're killing criminals. They're killing. I'm just saying, it's to them. It's honor. They're honoring what it means.
So he goes on to say, is it a bad business model? Of course it is. But generally, comic book companies, the big two in particular, are kind of clueless about their own readership. They don't know who is reading them. They don't reach out for new readers. They don't care to find out what their readers want in order to keep reading them. They stopped doing that 20 years ago, he asserted. Now, I would like an expenditure upon that. It seems to be, as I've said before for these editors, it seems to be a stepping stone to some other kind of career. Comic books are not edited for the most part at the big companies by the comic book lifers. People who want to be comic book editors, he argued. They are done by people who want to be something else, somewhere else, and DC Marvel Comics looks really cool on their resume, but in the process, they're ruining the medium in America anyway.
Well, when we were younger readers, the editors were also the writers. It was basically, Len Wein would be editing Jerry Conway would be editing Roy Thomas, Roy would be editing, and so on and so forth. And they knew how to produce, they knew how to write a comic book. Yeah. When your editors have never written anything, they're not gonna know what to look for. They're not gonna say, hey, you can't do this and this is why. So you basically, like I said, I don't know what they do there, but it doesn't show up on the page. I mean, it's obvious there's no editing going on at the big two anymore.
That
very
seems
little
to be, yeah. There's definitely none when it comes to consistency and continuity and such. Let's see. Dixon doesn't just criticize Marvel and DC. He also continues to create comics. I think this is the wrap-up bit. Yep. Okay. There you go. All righty. So there you go.
My final thoughts on this whole Punisher thing. I think it'll be a 6-issue miniseries, whatever this is, and then it'll go away. It'll be back to being normal.
Do you think the Skull's going to make it back?
Yeah, the normal Skull will be back.
I think they might. I think Frank dies at the end of this story and goes away permanently.
Yeah, for a lot. Look, Barry Allen was dead 23 years.
But
so that's an entire generation right there.
But who knows how much farther left comics will be 5 years from now?
Yeah.
That you may not see Frank come back in the comics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the TV show is going to happen. They're actually talking about bringing back Bernthal. Now, how they're going to do it for Disney Plus, I have no freaking clue. It amazes me that they haven't thought in their head, hey guys, we also have Hulu. Why don't we put all the dangerous heroes over there? That way we don't have to worry about it.
Well, like I said, like if that's true, they're doing the show, they're gonna bring back this No More Skull because they're not gonna do the horn skull on him
No, that
in the show. They want a match.
right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's a different audience, and they don't like to admit that, but the reality is, it is. Now,
Yeah.
lest you think I'm giving just
Sorry.
picking on Marvel and DC. If someone like a Chuck Dixon came up with a series that looked like the Punisher, smelled like the Punisher, was everything but the name, and took it to Image, they're not taking it.
That's
Not a
true.
chance.
That's true. Well, yeah, it's a
And neither would Boom, neither would Aftershock. Maybe, well, certainly not IDW. Maybe Dynamite. Possibly Zenoscope, but yeah, I said it would be tough sledding for anybody any character that you would consider conservative.
Didn't
None of the companies want that.
Didn't
right now.
Ares back in the 2000s, the God of War, didn't he have the crossbones on the skull on his shirt?
Crossbones did.
No, but I thought Ares. I remember Ares. Before he got ripped in half by Sentry.
I don't remember.
I thought I could have sworn he had that.
So, Maranya saying what ticks me off about old school comic book creators who whine about the things not being diverse until now. Where the hell were they back in the day when their names mattered? That's what I've said for like 4 or 5 years now with all of this stuff.
I can answer that too. Being disingenuous.
Yeah. Well, I think they're being disingenuous now.
Now, yeah.
Back then
Not
they
then.
weren't, because nobody was making the fuss, because you know what? We had women editors. We had women writers. We had women artists. We had the whole 9 yards. It's just that now everybody's saying that, gosh darn it, as Brain brings up, comic books didn't start until all points, whatever the freaking hell it was, and New 52. And I would like to talk about this. This is going to be, we're shifting here. We're going to go into a new subject here. And I think that's a good segue. I was thinking the other day, now I've heard the stories. Oh, this was good. That was good. I like the Court of Owls. I like this one, New 52 and All Now .1, whatever it was called, ruined freaking comic books. No, I don't think forever, because I think a good writer, a good editor coming in is going to be able to fix this. We've been through bad runs. This is the longest freaking bad run of damn near every comic book that I've ever seen. There have been exceptions. Abnett's Aquaman, Jeff Johns' Aquaman, Venditti's whatever the hell he's writing at the time. There are some great books out there. That being said, and you could challenge me on this, however, good luck. I think they decided, okay, we're going to recreate the DC universe. We're going to put out the New 52. And they forgot to figure out who they want these characters to be. You read Man of Steel, and you get the idea that John Byrne, before he went on, and for those who don't know, Man of Steel with John Byrne was the first Superman book after the Crisis on Infinite Earth. So when they destroyed all that came before, much like they wanted to do with New 52 and Flashpoint, they actually had an idea of who these people were going to be moving on. And with this new run, with the New 52, with Aviva Black Cat, can you turn down the street just a little bit? With the all new all points, they forgot to ask, who are these characters going to be? And they got scared. So they started bringing in story from here, story from there, from the past, without understanding who Batman really is, who Superman really is. And what they ended up doing was getting a mishmash, and they continued to do the same thing. Oh, we're going to give it to this character or this writer. After Grant Morrison has it, we're going to give it to Scott Snyder. Scott Snyder's going to, what do they call that? Deconstruct the Batman. We're going to give it to Jeff Johns. He's going to deconstruct Aquaman. And they did Deconstruction after Deconstruction, but they never knew who these characters were at the freaking start. And that is one of the things. They've been deconstructed to the point where they are unrecognizable anymore. And when you get to somebody's run like, say, Tom King or Dan Slott on Iron Man, because I am including both Marvel and DC at the beginning of last decade had their bits where they said, from here on in, this is the starting point. Let's go. But they never actually did the work. They never did the freaking work they needed to do before they put that out. It was all gimmick. And now we're dealing with a whole bunch of heroes that are not the heroes. For as much as we want, for a brief moment, maybe you saw the real Hawkman with Venditti, or maybe you saw the real, I believe we saw the real Superman until Bendis destroyed him with Peter Tomasi's run. I think we saw who Aquaman was supposed to be with Dan Abnett's run. Go on ahead, Eric.
I'm not about to argue with anything you said, with the exception of New 52, or not New, the Rebirth did put a lot of the emphasis back on the characters the way we liked them. I mean, I can only go by myself. I said I completely walked away from New 52. After I gave it a shot, it was not what I was looking for, and I was pretty much done with Marvel, and that's remained to this day. New 52, I got up to about 15 or so books a month again, and then you know who got hired. It was like I don't know if you were watching.
You talking about Rebirth?
Yeah, well, Bendis. So I don't know if you were watching when someone in the chat said, I want to start reading, Rebirth. How should I go about it? And I said, start at what did it say about Rebirth? I said, well, start at the beginning, go through this. But when you open up a book, if you're reading the floppies, if you open up a book and see a 2-page Bendis is coming spread, you're on the clock.
Yeah. As soon as Bendis shows up,
I just tell them to go further back, go back to post-crisis, start in 1987, and just read.
Well, they asked about Rebirth.
I'm just saying, go back and read those. You won't want to read anything else.
Right,
new.
but if somebody asked me if they should read Rebirth,
now
I'm probably not going to.
Yeah, not everyone wants to go that farther back.
Yeah, go back to.
They should, but
you can go back to the Rebirth special, and then just get all the number ones. Granted, not every comic book, not everything that glitters is gold. I did not like the Cyborg book. The Blue Beetle was good, but it wasn't given a chance, I thought. But the thing is, and I'll talk about Mr. DC Comics, who says, hey, the Justice League was all the way up to the Dark Side War. I'm not saying that there weren't good stories. I even brought it up. Yes, I understand Court of Owls and all that. You can point to certain things, but that wasn't Superman and that wasn't Wonder Woman. I guess what made me really think about this was I started reading the Ultimate Fantastic Four. Recently, I came across an eBay thing that had volumes 1 through 4 for really cheap, and I managed to pick them up. Great win, by the way. And I realized this isn't Reed Richards, this isn't Sue Storm, but it is. It's just the Ultimate version, and I kind of like that. This was a case where they were able to remove and do, and they should have done that. That should have been what they were doing with New 52. Either that or go full on crisis mode where they just said, you know what, we're doing it. It's scary. We know. We hope you come on this journey with us. Remember Crisis. We're going to try to be that good again. But in order to do that, you have to define the characters. And before they defined the characters, they started deconstructing the characters. Marvel actually worse than DC as far as that. What was it called? It was called All Now or All New Marvel or something?
It was All New, All Different.
All New, All Different.
Marvel Now.
Yeah. Now. There was like 14 different events they've done.
And they've had no idea who they were going forward, but they started deconstructing. And I get the fact that I understand the outside version of this. The new writer on Wolverine isn't going to be getting a lot of money from Wolverine, so let's create a woman or girl Wolverine. And now my version of Wolverine goes for. That's the real world reason of this. Narratively, however, they've copycatted all of their characters to the point of unrecognizability, and they've now made the suits matter more than the man.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes the woman. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the person in the suit is. It's just the suit that matters. And that's been one of the biggest problems of comic books, narratively anyway, is that they have decided that, as it was put in Kingdom Come by a writer now everybody's mad at, is that they put the super in front of the man. And that's definitely the wrong way to go with Superman.
Did you see that one of the books DC's doing now, I think it was Justice League Incarnate 4, basically altered every event, including Crisis, in saying that there was a secret, or there's like a secret big bad behind all of it. And it's basically butchering the Darkness Saga, the Great Darkness Saga. And there's coming out of this, basically Darkseid's going to be the new #1 hero. Nothing matters.
I want to point out what Miss Soul's saying right here. Crisis Infinite Earths is still a pedestal for me. Very few stories have measured up to me. I'm finding that true as I go back and forth to the older stuff compared to, I started in the 2000s, so I'm going back and going backwards, and reading from on, and I'm seeing like, holy crap, the quality difference, everything. Just no nonsense. You're not getting what we're getting today. Definitely. Even the stuff I started reading in 2003 pales compared to what I remember reading in the 80s, whether it's Marvel or DC. It's just that John Byrne came in for both of them, Claremont. It just seems like they just need to realize, you know what? It's the 80s, bro. We're just gonna put out awesome crap. That's everybody wanted. And
comics had to sell themselves. Because that was all they were comic books. In 1985, Marv Wolfman and George Perez didn't do Crisis on Infinite Earth, going, how's this going to look up on the screen?
Yeah,
because it wasn't possible in those days. The comic book had to be what you had to buy it for the fact that it was a comic book and a comic book story, and that was never going to last. Once, I mean, it survived the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. It even survived Batman. But as soon as the century changed and we started getting things like Spider-Man and X-Men, and special effects started really coming into their own, CGI went out, it just fundamentally changed how comics were produced, even the good ones. And now, between that and the other things that we've pointed out, comics, do you remember the old search engines?
Yes.
If you start on page 1, by page 7, it would be like grandma's, lasagna recipe when you were looking up how to fix your carburetor. That's what comics are now compared to what they were.
Well, I noticed, I've noticed a while back, and I've mentioned in a couple of videos, that it used to be that comic book artists and writers are writing for the graphic novel, for the trade paperback. Now they're writing for the big screen. If you watch, I was thinking the one that really stands out doing that to me is Nice House on the Lake by James Tynion. Good story. I've enjoyed it, but I have noticed that it'll have a beginning, and then it'll have the 2-page spread, Nice House on the Lake, written by James, and then they'll have the credits. I'm like, it's exactly that. I noticed for a while a lot of Marvel books would have the James Bond opening. Oh, we'll have the action scene. It has nothing to do with the rest, or maybe it'll wrap up the first one. Credit scene, and then we go on in. Used to be splash pages were right there on the front to kind of sell you what's in the book. So if you're looking at it, you can look and go, okay, so this is what it's about. Boom. Now it's all, they really are writing for the big screen, especially if it's an independent comic book. They want you to get the open for it. So they're, an independent comic book is really just an advertisement, hoping some.
Speaking of advertisements,
I'm surprised books don't come out in storyboard form.
What were you saying, Vang?
I was going to say, as far as advertisements go, wow, they changed over the past 30 years. Went from video games to you could order it through here or from this flyer, and if you want to order, subscribe to Marvel or DC, and we'll send you the mailers. Now it's just like, oh look, they're selling a Ford crossover. Thanks, you. That's what I wanted to see in the comic book.
DC Comics mentioned something about they don't understand current editors don't understand that DC comic heroes are something to aspire to, and instead they want to make them more relatable, more down to earth. And I think that I think it really does take away something. I get it that Marvel liked to sell theirs as they were the relatable ones, but I still didn't like that. I want exactly what you're talking about. I want even Spider-Man to be somebody who they're not real people. So saying, well, we want to make them like real people, you can't, because nobody here is going to go out, lift up a car, and stop a guy dressed like a lizard. It just isn't going to happen.
You know, if you want to be even more thrilled with today's comics, have you picked up One Star Squadron?
Not yet. I've got the first 2 issues. It's not a great story, but
that.
Oh, issue number 3 is something to look at.
Oh no, it's but that's another example. I said it's superheroes that hate their jobs and and it's written by Jimmy
and it's mostly office work, it seems.
It's written by a guy that thinks he's funny that isn't. And
Evil Black Cat. Oh,
yeah, I know, right?
Nah, as much as I'd rather gargle with turpentine, he is funny.
Let's see. Why make superheroes something for us to aspire to when they can make them just like us? Miss O saying, RDV, keep in mind that as I say that, as someone who still hasn't read some of the other classic stuff, but man, Crisis stuff.
I'm the same boat. I haven't read a lot of the classics, but I'm saying I've been reading, going through.
I would say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just going through all the older stuff. Stuff I kind of like, kind of put off, but now I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of the new stuff. I'm going away from Marvel and DC, and I've always been a Marvel and a DC fan. I want to read some stuff, and some of there's not really many books out there that I really want to read. They took away my Spider-Man, took away my, the Daredevil is so. Thor is getting crappy again. Hulk is all right, but I mean, same with Superman. It's not Superman anymore. So I'm going back and I'm reading stuff, that you guys say, you know what? What's the best damn story that is? I'm going back. I'm taking your guys' advice. You guys in past videos. I'm reading this stuff and like, it's sound. And it's
out what I've been saying for a long time. We're usually right.
I got to give you credit, Venk. Some of these things that you've gone back and read that you've kind of latched onto. You speak with real passion when you talk about them, and that gives me hope that maybe you'll go, okay, those 2 old dudes were right about this. Maybe they were right about the stuff even older.
I was talking about Wes, thinking critical. He recommended.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, here are 6 ideas to send over next time you go talk to Wes. All right.
I think what you're finding out is you were looking at the wrong spy.
Yeah, I know, right?
Venkman. It was Venkman all along.
Well,
I'll be right
it was
back.
Wes and Eric. Eric was on Wes's channel. That's why.
Right.
That's not even me.
For his awful Donnie Cates,
It's you, it's your brother.
Hack who believes in his own press as Maranya. I'd say the same thing about Tom King. I'd
say the same thing about the entire industry.
Okay, I have been enjoying Black Cat, Batman. I'm waiting for it's almost over, so we'll see how it ends.
Human Target I hear has actually been decent.
Human Target.
Skip and Tosh has been liking it. So
Skip, like said, he destroyed Guy Gardner in that.
Yep.
Turned him into the Bees of Stalker, I think.
Like I said, people like it. Like I said, I never liked Tom King. I didn't like any of his Batman run at all.
The Batman run was so freaking hit and miss. People are talking about how great it was. I'm like, I did like War of Jokes and Riddles, and I did like The Flash. I've got it over here.
Don't worry, kids. Gotham Girl is coming back.
Say again?
Gotham Girl is coming back to save the DC universe.
I'm sure she will. Yeah, it's
like I said. The problem with Tom King, and just like a lot of these writers, are you give them too many issues. Don't give them many series. They're okay. They keep going further and further, and they don't know how to end things. Snyder is, and as much as I love Scott Snyder is a fault for this too. I look at New 52 Batman. I did not care for that ending.
King ruined stuff in 6 issues now.
He's up his level.
Yeah, 4 issues and he's gonna destroy something.
No, we were talking about Tom Taylor. Sorry, deceased. No, now we're questioning. People always. Kelly's question makes a joke. He's like, I don't think Kelly Thompson wrote Black Widow.
Black Widow.
Well, maybe Tom Taylor didn't write Deceased or Injustice.
He's good at writing stuff when he gets to kill characters off. He kills the characterization of the characters in his normal runs,
But
not his Elseworlds.
But my bottom line, my point is, if you like something, you're winning. You got your money.
Yeah, if you spend the same money on what I don't like and you like it, good on you.
If you like Bendis Superman, you like current Superman, and funny, instead of
the War World stuff is not too shabby. Yeah. In all honesty, Superman Son of Kal-El, that is so horrible.
The main issue for me is that if you're into DC and Marvel, you're into it for the long continuous stories, we're taking indies away from this.
Here's we broke it down,
yeah.
So I will build it back up a little bit. Here's what this is what they should do. Marvel and DC both, whatever crisis, whatever infinite thing you need to bring in, destroy your universes again, but do it complete, do it total, start over. So if you want to start over and Peter Parker doesn't exist and only Miles Morales does, go on ahead. Roll those freaking dice. I challenge you. If you believe that these woke characters can exist without the people, the characters you don't like anymore, do it. But do it properly. Do it 100%. Doesn't mean you have to completely wipe out. Maybe you just create an ultimate line again or something, or go right on ahead, try that. But if you are going to, I think you absolutely need to do this. Death matters. Make it like the manga. Somebody dies in one, they don't come back because nanobots, just make it matter. Make the stories end somehow.
Give like James Bond.
Say again? Yeah, it's
permanent. Yeah. Can't come back.
Well, at least not the Daniel Craig version. Point being is, I truly believe that if they really do want to compete with manga, they need to wipe everything out, start anew, and make it matter. Make these stories have consequences. You might actually have to do it the Ultimate Spider-Man or the Ultimate Fantastic Four way, where you're doing 6-issue stories or 5. Just whatever happens to those villains when they go away, they're not coming back in the next 2 issues. They're away, or they're dead, or something's going on like that. If a hero dies, they die. And let's keep going. Just keep going on. We need, in order to compete with the anime and all that kind of the manga, we need consequences back into the comics. Yeah. Also, I'm sorry, this multiverse thing that's going on in both the universes and not all over the place, get rid of it. You're getting rid of creativity. If you have no if you have no restrictions, you have no creativity, because there is nothing that cannot be done. Look at how wonderful movies looked back in the day versus modern, because it's all CGI now. And I'm not saying the CGI is bad. It's just that when you're looking at 100% CGI, your eyes start noticing. And I'm sorry, but those foam latex settings that were done by cutting up this and painting that, sometimes they just come off better. So
I just agree on the multiverse. That's what's getting me into the DC right now. The Josh Williams stuff, the multiverse stuff. That's what's getting me to read DC right now, because nothing else it's not part of the multiverse. It's catching my eye.
Yeah. Earth 2 run was literally a Xerox copy of Injustice. I haven't read that, so that seems weird. I want to read it now just to see how much. The only series Tom King did that was overall good was Vision. After that, he was goodish for Batman until issue number 50. Mr. Miracle was so to bad. After that, I remember the very first Spirit Awards, Tom King ruled. Everybody loved Tom King, and Mr. Miracle was having everybody's heads explode on how great it is. And then the second one, not 6 months later, Tom King was the worst writer on the face of the planet. I always wonder, well, what the freaking hell? I never read Mr. Miracle. It was what Jack was on the channel then. He was reviewing Mr. Miracle. Let's see. Funny how John Kent deceased never has a pink hair boyfriend. I'm gonna just kind of steer you in the direction you need to go here, Wanda. My daughter is gay. Be very careful. I do not accept any kind of slurs, okay? At all. I don't care who they're towards. I don't care if you're black and you're saying the N-word. I just don't like slurs, so be very careful. Let's see. Yeah, put up or shut up, Marvel DC. The Discovery, well, she's not good. She explains it. Well, I don't know what's going on with kids these days. The Discovery Warner merger. I know, right? It will be done by May or June, says Mr. DC Comics. Nothing can compete with manga. It's manga. Is it manga or manga?
Manga.
Okay, so I'm saying it right.
Your daughter
Big two don't even compete with each other anymore. I don't think they care to try with it. Okay.
He doesn't listen to his daughter. Of course he can.
Look, there are books that I like out there. I'm not knocking the entire run. I actually did cancel that Texas Blood at this point. I was like, okay, you're kind of you need to get to the point. What else would Nocturne is good out there? What Marvel and DC have I been reading though? I know I've been reading some.
I said I'm still reading Flash. It's gotten better. Joshua Williamson made me actually care about Barry Allen for a change, but then like after Barry's gone, Wally's back to being with his family. It's if you can erase all the stupid crap that Tom King did, in Heroes in Crisis, Wally is still a good character.
I've liked Suicide Squad. I've liked that. I can't think of anything that I've liked recently. What did I review? She-Hulk. I reviewed She-Hulk, and I liked She-Hulk recently.
I like that.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Adams is better on Flash than Joshua Williamson ever was. Now, granted, it's a different Flash, so it's my the Flash I prefer. But
the thing with Joshua Williamson is he had editorial and decisions go against him so many times. Like he was supposed to have Wally on after 50. There was going to be but they decided to do Heroes in Crisis. Like he hinted that instead of Iris and Barry running around or looking for those forces, it was supposed to be a Wally Barry run with flashbacks to when they first started out, a story like that. But then Didier just came in and said nope.
Now I will say that Joshua Williamson's Flash, I'm not saying it was bad. I actually liked it, but and it's again from being around forever. My Barry was married to Iris, until they killed her off. But it just and this seems like the Barry Allen that's existed since they brought him back. He continues to get younger and younger, as if to be more like Grant Gustin in the series. And it just never really felt like the Flash to me. But Jeremy Adams captures. It's the only book I've read from DC in good grief 12 years that feels pre-Flashpoint.
Yep.
Actually, I would go back even farther. It says feels like something that could have been done in the 90s when DC was.
It feels like the Mark Waid run, doesn't it?
It kind of does.
I want to address, since I said something, and so Wanda Infinity is pointing out that they're saying that Tom Taylor had a chance to have John Kent or to give John Kent a boyfriend and deceased, but he didn't. So why now? And I think it's because he feels empowered now. Not only that, but and once again, this is just me reading into it. Obviously, I can't read minds, so this is all speculation. But it seems to me this is the time to signal all the virtue you have. If it seems to me this, even if it doesn't sell, which we've seen, they sold that one issue out of speculation. I feel sorry for. No, I don't. Some speculator paid way too much for that book. Like, oh, this is a 1 in 50 variant of the gay Superman book. Okay, cool. You're the only one that wanted it. You're the one that paid $1,000 for it. Have a good time with it. But I think that right now, is the time where, like I said at the beginning, they're pushing all things that aren't them out of the realm. They want it off the stage. They don't want to see it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to even talk about it. But it is a great time for them to push their agenda. And they think that this is what makes a hero. This is what makes Superman good, is if Superboy is yelling and screaming at his dad that he did nothing. There's a video I'm going to go after that I saw. It was based on legacy characters, and this guy has no freaking clue about legacy characters. He's put his foot in his mouth before, and I did a video on it, and I saw this legacy character thing, that forced adversity guy. So I'm going to talk about that. It's amazing how people get this shit wrong. And I call them Dixie Cup thinkers, Dixie Cup deep thinkers. And by that, I mean Dixie cups were cups about that big. That's about as deep as they're willing to go in their thinking. So I'll talk a little bit about it here. Why not? It was saying that if you don't like the Laura Kinneys, or you don't like the Riri Williams, or Sam Wilson taking over as Captain America, then you shouldn't, or you cannot like, by the way, Green Lantern, Barry Allen, or Hal Jordan as Green Lantern, Barry Allen as Flash, and so forth. And it really quickly, they jump from Hal Jordan, bringing it up. They're legacy characters. Quickly jump from Hal Jordan to John Stewart. You can't like them if you don't like modern day. My thinking is this. Okay, knowing that we have been around the block a couple of years, the beard, the hair, the lack of hair should show you that I've done this for a while. I've been reading comics forever and a day. I don't know what I'm talking about. You're in the wrong direction. Saying I don't read comics, you're definitely going in the wrong direction. So, okay, understand the fact that I know for a fact that those are legacy characters. Okay, so now what? See, I do know that those are legacy characters. I know that they've always been legacy characters, and yet they are better than what we're getting here. And this is a person who would never actually think beyond his own, you must be a bigot, or you must not have thought of this. It's a ridiculous, weak. He's got weak kung fu, is what I'm saying. So here's the thing. First of all, let's break this down a little bit. You can't bring up John Stewart as a legacy character. No way, shape, or form, in any way, is John Stewart a legacy character. Neither is Guy Gardner. Neither is Tomare. Neither is anyone in the Green Lantern Corps a legacy character. Let's get this out of your mind, because you were not willing to think beyond this depth. You did not know that when they reconstructed the Green Lantern, making him not only a different character than Alan Scott, but he's not even connected to Alan Scott, which is one big difference between the Riri Williams and the legacy characters we're getting today. He's not even connected to Alan Scott. He is a member of a space police force that has many, many, many members in it, of which are John Stewart, Tomare, and the whole 9 yards. They are not. They are just one more member of the Green Lantern Corps. Doesn't fit. And I'm sorry, the fact that he brought that character up like 19,000 times. Even the Flash, okay, the Flash, I guess you could argue a little bit more. So then also you have to ask, okay, if these people are intelligent enough to understand that these are legacy characters, you got to ask, okay, so why are we saying that the legacy characters we're getting today suck versus what we're getting back then?
I can answer that.
Okay, Eric.
The lack of the second name in that guy's channel. These new characters have never faced any adversity.
There you go.
They've been handed the mantles. They're written. Yeah, I dislike the term, but they are written as Mary Sue's.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about easy victories and posing for selfies.
It's not what they do. It's how they do. I've always said it's not what it's about. It's how it's about it. It's how it's written, how it's done. Oh, but there's been politics ever. Dude, you have no freaking clue who I am if you're saying that to me.
Okay, I'm gonna cite an example of that as well. We did the Justice League All-Star Squadron crossover today. Do you remember that story? It was Justice League 207, 8, and 9, and All-Star Squadron 14 and 15.
Yeah.
Per Degaton, the 3 different times and Earths and blah, blah, blah. Jerry Conway wrote the JLA stories. And it was obvious that he was no fan of the current president. That would have been Reagan at the time. And when they went back and met Roosevelt, and it was weird that he picked Zatanna for this, but he's obviously a huge fan of FDR. But he had Zatanna just say, wow, I thought my dad was electric, but President Roosevelt, wow. And then he said, they were talking about the future. He goes, you wouldn't believe what we have. We've got these machines that do this. We've got this. And we elected an actor as president. That was the end of it.
Yeah.
And now it's, take out Harley Quinn's mallet and beat you over the head with, the disc.
Yeah, that was a joke in Back to the Future. Who's president? Ronald Reagan. The actor?
Yeah.
Because even when he was being elected, even when he was on the campaign trail, that was a point people were making. That an actor is going out and trying to be president. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thought, or at least it was until he made it. I don't understand why, however, we got to that point where only politicians can be, when this country was founded on the fact that if anybody could run, you can do it. It takes too much money.
And he was a governor. So, I mean,
that's true. He was a politician too.
Yeah.
Let me answer some of these questions that came up from my little rant there. Okay, here we go. Eric July has the best video on why tokenism is so lazy. No, I think I do. Let's see. Forced adversity is a bread tuber in every sense of the word. Please define bread tuber.
Thank you.
I'm a little old. I don't know what you kids are talking about sometimes. I would love to. That just sounds cool. I would love to get the definition of bread tuber.
The future is now, old man.
I know.
Planet
What
is
about
yours.
Wally West? He's a legacy character. I'm not saying they're bad legacy characters, but yes. The only connection to Alan Scott that Hal Jordan has to him is the Green Lantern Oath. Hello to Zach. How you doing? Did Hal Jordan come before Alan Scott? No, it was Alan Scott first. He's the Green Lantern that appeared in All-Star Comics number 17?
16.
16. Okay.
Learned that on one of your videos.
Something teen. I actually did comic book.
No, that's Hal Jordan. With Showcase 22. Try to keep up.
Let's see. Nothing is changing because folks keep buying the books. I now believe comics are more addicting than drugs. It can be. Actually, I'm quite surprised. They're really doing their best to kill the collector. Not like, hey, you're a collector, blam, you're dead. But they're making it used to be where you had to get every issue, and you would work your way through a bad run because you didn't want your big ass collection to say Avengers 1, 2, 3, 4, 14, 15, 16, 17 because you didn't like what was going on. So you would just have to buy every issue. Now they're ending every run at 12. So why pick up the next one if you didn't like the last one?
Yeah, people buy creators, they buy storylines, but yeah, this you're a great point. This current comics are not meant to be collected. They're meant to be read or just slabbed for for the variants they just bought, but it's
or taking selfies with.
Yeah, I mean it's because if you notice, if you when you go to the comic shop and you see people shopping for back issues, if they're buying an X-Men, chances are it's from the original run. Same with Daredevil, same with Avengers, same with Spider-Man.
That's the way I am.
Yeah, it's like, would you buy Iron Man and not Iron Man, like Power Man and Iron Fist, but never read Power? Oh no, that's a bad example. Never mind.
Let's see. What about Miles Morales? What about him? He's always going to be known as Miles Morales. He's never going to be known as Spider-Man.
It's like his title's called Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Yeah. And that is the fault of Marvel Comics. It's not even the fault of Brian Michael Bendis. Brian Michael Bendis had him in the Ultimate Universe being Spider-Man.
Yes.
They moved him to the regular universe, and he is now Miles Morales forever because they never gave him his own identity, which is something I always mention. I'm not going to go off on it here.
Well, now the weird thing is that now if you're going to have Peter back in action, you got Ben Morales, you got like Spider-Man.
I know there's so many. Yeah, there's only one Spider-Man. There's Spider-Man, whom we know is Peter Parker, and then there's Ben Reilly, and there's Miles Morales. Nobody calls Miles Morales and Ben Reilly as Spider-Man. If you do say, oh, well, I read Spider-Man, the first thing that most people will think of is Peter Parker.
We don't call Miles that, but the people in the book do call him Spider-Man because he swings from webs.
Legacy characters themselves are fine. The way they're written these days is the problem. DC and Marvel did legacy characters for decades. Yeah, no problem. It's not what it's about. It's how it's about it. Dang, I'm getting a t-shirt put on there.
Am I only surprised that they brought back Ben Reilly and didn't just don't say, "Hey, Peter, go in a coma. Miles is taking over."
I'm still sticking to my guns that's what they're headed towards.
Oh, by the way, no, Forced Adversity did not do a video on me. He's just talking about people who talk about legacy characters, and I've done this on multiple occasions. But I saw it. I figured, what the heck? I'll go after this jackass. He's gone after a friend of mine, and I don't like it. Even though she's kind of gone, she's a little bit more left than I am. I don't care if you know what he tried to attach her to some sort of pedophile or something. I'm like, come on.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny though? Disney's actually the 2017 cartoon they did for Disney XD. They had Miles in there, and Peter comes. He's like, "Said, dude, you're not gonna be Spider-Man." He's like, "I'm calling you Kid Interacting." He's like, "That's a horrible name." He's like, "Well, you're copying me." So that's how stupid it is. They actually make fun of the whole decision, but someone up top thinks that, you know what, we're just gonna keep Miles as Spider-Man for whatever reason.
Mostly the Twitter crowd disliked it, and the editors in Marvel and DC are either in the same group or they're just people from that group that got jobs there.
But you guys know who the best legacy character is out of all of them? It's Mr. Miracle.
So anyway, Computer Bots is saying, "Hey, Englatine, I just want you to remember that these people at Marvel are just using the characters like hostages because they know you have an emotional attachment to these characters. Not me specifically, but actual readers who care about them." Yes, I do want to say, Tevia, you might actually have a video's worth of
rants
of talking to do right here. Question: how would you undo the damage to my boy Jonathan Samuel Kent?
I'd have crisis events.
I would have to go and I already said they should do a crisis and just wipe everything out and start anew.
Yeah.
But if I wasn't doing that, okay, you know what? Forget it. I'll just do it right here. Right off the top of my head, it would have to be some sort of soap opera, weird ass comic book. By that I mean, one of the great things about comic books is anything could happen. So we find out, and this, once again, I just read the question. I have no preparation. We find out that much like Green Lantern, Jonathan Kent has had some sort of being within him, a parallax of sorts.
I think that's Jay Nakamura.
Whatever. That actually had made him a little bit. It aged him up. It actually has taken over his brain, so he's not thinking clearly, and that's why he's ignorant and idiot, as we see. And I would have some sort of thing happen to him, like I don't know if you would use a machine or a black hole or try to deal with time travel like that, but there would be a fight that would go across time to the point where we started right at the moment where Superman and Lois were just dumb as for 5 seconds and said, "Why, yes, my 10-year-old son, why don't you go on a space adventure with the father who tried to kill us all not but 10 seconds ago?" Then I would have them go, whoa, worst idea in the world. Stop right there. We're not doing that. And that would not only de-age Superboy, but would also undo everything that Bendis has done.
How about if they did it now? Obviously, it's never going to happen because their DC could not be more proud of the Jonathan Kent that they have now. But if total editorial change, how about whoever took it doesn't have to be Jor-El or whoever was, messed with Clark and Lois's mind to make them believe that it was a good idea, sent him off. They brought out. They cloned the kid, aged up the clone, and that the 10-year-old is still 10 wherever it was that he went to and is being held. And it was never the same guy.
Yeah, clone or time travel. There you go. That's the way we save Superboy.
Or the thing that no one likes, multiverse.
And
have it be a Power Girl, Supergirl thing.
And then I would I would tell Bendis, from now on, you're not touching anything in continuity. I don't think you're a horrible writer, in all honesty. I just think you have ideas that are not good for the.
No, he's a horrible writer now.
Trying to grease him up. I mean, people still buy his books.
By the way, are you going to address Hendrick's question?
Hendricks, where is it?
The one in all caps. You have to go up a little bit.
Let me go up a little bit.
Because I say yes.
How to undo John? Oh.
No.
Is Palpatine a legacy character? Yes, Palpatine is a legacy character. Yes.
No, Venkman taking over will be the legacy character. Palpatine is multiverse. Get it right, people.
Okay.
I was going to point out the best way to fix DC right now, since everybody's like going nostalgia and stuff. 2022 is Millennium. Everyone is imposters.
Well, you can't fix something that the people in charge don't believe is broken.
That is unfortunately true.
That's gonna fix everything else.
Now, I'll say, you mentioned Tristan a few minutes ago.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna defend her position to the point that she's 20-something years younger than me, which means she's been reading a hell of a lot less longer than I have.
Okay,
and she's okay. Like, my choice was easy. I just went away because I've had the decades of great stuff, and if I don't get any more, so be it. I can just read all the great stuff that I missed the first time around. She's really into comics, and she's got decades and decades left to read this stuff.
Yeah,
you have two choices. If you're young, if you're Venkman's age or her age, you either accept and maybe just kind of go with that, or what do you have? I mean, I said it's easy to walk away at pushing 60 than it is at 35 if you
60. You're 70.
No, he only looks 70. He's 60. Show some respect.
Yeah, it's just
Black Cat. Oh, Black Cat's only young. Eric Breen.
Yep. Who's the legacy character now?
Well, no, like I said, you could show me running with Captain Marvel like Samuel L. Jackson. You could de-age me, but I'm still going to look like a 60-year-old man running.
Right? Yeah.
So, but no, I said
I'm coming, Captain Marvel.
It's because if you do have a true passion, and she does, and there are plenty of people her age that do. Like I said, I can see why you would be. I'm going to go with it because, like I said, the alternative is, well, leave.
Yeah. Well, I was watching
Assimilate or Die.
She did this. She did a live stream with some of her friends the other night. I watched some of it. It was not my cup of tea for what they were talking about, except for this one segment, or a couple of them actually. But part of it, she said that she was on the anti-SJW side for a while, and then she had an awakening of sorts. And basically, it was the same thing I noticed a long time. I don't change my point of view on things. I just call out the people who are doing it, and that is that there are people on the anti-SJW side who are basically anti-SJWs. It's always the same. It's always it's the same kind of whining, the same time kind of complaining and so forth. And I would call them out. One of the reasons why I was not one of the more popular of the originals is because I would be willing to say, yeah, but you're doing the same thing. And isn't that stupid? People don't like that. A lot of YouTubing is confirmation bias. I've said this before. I'll continue it. It really is. So if somebody's challenging you, they might not be as happy with you after that. But the thing is she saw the same stuff. I don't like the hypocritical side, and I got to admit, sometimes I am too. But I'll call it out. I still believe in my principles. And I'm not saying she gave up on her principles. Nobody go, oh my gosh, you know what he's saying? I'm not saying that. But she just saw the same information, came up with a different conclusion.
I mean, there's no way I can be convinced that comics today can hold a candle to comics 30, 40, 50 years ago. And one thing I do, and I was there for it. Make your jokes now or keep it yourself, Cat.
No, go right on ahead. We know you're old.
But so but if you are, if you're much younger and have been reading for a much less period of time, maybe you can. It's easier to make the leap that's still something you want to continue with.
As someone much younger and has been reading for a much smaller amount of time, nope, not really. Well, it is hard to get interested in if the thing that you were really looking forward to doesn't happen anymore, or it's like this storyline is something you're invested in, and they just pull the rug under you, say, no, we're never going to do that. Here's the new thing. That's why I can't get into Marvel anymore.
I'll just say real quick.
Did you go back and read the old stuff?
I have. I'm currently going to Batman in the 400s and Detective in the 600s.
See, that's something that a lot of people won't do, and that's that's you come out ahead for doing that. Yeah, personally.
Well, Breen, that was me at first. When I first started reading when I was like 18, 19, I was overwhelmed how much stuff had been out. So I started reading the current stuff. I was like, you know what? It's a new volume. They changed everything. I'll just stick with this. Now that I'm older, and now I'm realizing, hey, you know what? I'm not liking the current stuff right now. It's giving me an opportunity to go back and read some of the older stuff. It's much more. Plus, the all new young Eric Breen being younger than you guys. I'm still a little more optimistic that I still got 30 years left, and there might be something better than what's out today.
I hope you have more than 30 years. Anyway,
well, 30 years.
So anywho, if Wanda is asking, man, I remember super chats. Wanda is asking if you could pick up a definition. If you could pick a definitive end of the DC universe, what would it be? In all honesty, and I'm talking about the definitive end of the DC universe, like the last page of the book, I would have Neil Gaiman's death, folding the chairs, putting them on the table, and then turning the lights out. Because I think that is an awesome way. She said, and when in an issue of Sandman, she says, and when everything is done, I'll put the chairs on the table, I'll turn out the lights and leave. And I honestly believe that should be the very last page of the story of the DC universe. But I don't think that the editors would remember Sandman, much less deign to read it.
Okay, so imagine the 2-page spread that says Bendis is coming as a folding chair.
There you go, yeah.
And then you're laying on top of a chair and someone's holding another chair.
I don't know what Zach's saying. Same thing I've said about EVS and Nerdrotic. Zach, I don't know what he was talking about as far as that's what's to complain about John Ken, all this caterwauling about established characters coming out after decades. John is well, actually we were talking about the age thing as far as John was concerned. As far the coming out for John has no bearing on what I don't like about the character. And as a matter of fact, I said the biggest mistake that they made wasn't the whole make him gay thing, because we never knew about John's sexuality. And that's a good thing since he was 10 years old before this. But they could have told the story from the point of view of a kid growing up and finding out. But because of Bendis, it was ruined. That particular storyline was ruined.
You know, if they did the Lost Years with Jarrell in Krypton, it's okay to like the same things.
It would, but
either way.
No, I said there is nothing wrong with John being bi or gay, but it did feel kind of forced and did feel kind of like stunt casting.
Well, I think that's going to happen. Like if you want to get rid of the feeling that all of it's a forced, I think they got to stop. Stop right now. Don't do it. Occasionally, in the next 10 years, maybe bring something up. But it's got to be natural. It's got to actually have hints all throughout the series before you do it. Because all of it right now, it all seems disingenuous. It's like when they do a movie and they don't announce the story. They don't announce what they want to do with the characters. Oh, we're making this character this, and we're making this character that. It's not about the character then. It's not about the story. It's not about the movie. It's not about the comic book. What it is about you going, hey, aren't we great because we're doing, but no, I'm sorry, because I don't think so, because how it comes off every freaking time I see it, when they say we hired a trans to do this, or we hired a black guy to do this, or an Asian person to do that. I've seen it before. I'm sorry. For the last 50 years, black people, gay people, and yes, even trans people have been doing things. And you know what? I'm not impressed. I know people can do things, and black people, Asian people, doesn't matter, Latino, it doesn't matter. Guess what? They can do things and and have been doing them since the beginning of time. Why are you impressed just by look? So it's all virtue signaling. It is all virtue.
I'll just say this.
Tell me you're writing a great story, and then maybe I'll buy into it. Thank you very much to Zach for the super chat. I got to scroll down to that. I'm so far behind on comments. Puppetine isn't here to yell Spider-Man. The super chat is an expression of my joy.
Hold on, let me read that more. You got to read that again. Puppetine isn't here to yell Spider-Man.
Okay.
The super chat is an expression of my joy. Well, you got to read it right if you're going to read Spider-Man.
There you go. Well, thank you very much.
Spider-Man!
They're trying to do J. Jonah Jameson.
Jamie Jonah, what?
Jamie Jonah. Yeah.
J. Jonah Jameson, you fake geek.
I never had an issue with
I got the tits to be a fake geek girl. Thank you very much.
The other thing also,
I know it's like,
and the size.
That's what I just said.
And the other thing, when they keep playing this one trick that they've got in their bag, but then they have to play by all these Twitter imposed rules that they all come out exactly the same. You can't give them any kind of conflict or any kind of drama.
Personality.
Nobody. The only people that don't say how wonderful it is are blonde-haired white guy bullies from the school or whatever. Because let's be honest, I said Damian Wayne would have been a perfect opportunity right there. You know, a kid raised in the Middle East to be a soulless assassin, probably may have different views on that than, say, a coastal whatever. Yeah, but they're not allowed to do that. Everybody has to be totally accepting, and it takes the drama. If you take conflict and drama out of a story, you don't have much of a story.
Right.
I just want to say I was never really irritated or offended really by him coming out as gay, whatever. Tim Drake is the one that pissed me off because that was established as straight.
30 years. I did that short on my Old Man Comics. It's got over 1,000 views.
Years. It's the exact storyline before that is him trying to settle down with Stephanie, make it
it came out of nowhere, and I still say it's offensive, and I'm not gay, not gay,
nice, man.
But I do find some offense because you'll have a character like Bobby. You'll have a character like Tim, and they've acted a certain way for 30 years. Now, okay, let's say A-OK 100% they're bisexual, gay, whatever you want to make them. Go right on ahead. Why, after making them gay or bisexual, you now have to write them and draw them as the worst stereotypes?
Very flamboyant.
The Bobby Drake that we got, the Iceman that we got after they decided that he was going to be gay, is not the character we've been watching for 60 years. You write that character just as he was for 60 years and then just go, well, you know what? He's gay. Okay. Doesn't matter. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. It's stupid because we've had 60 years of continuity saying he's not, but you're still writing the character of who he was. But no, he starts carrying around a gay handbook and he's like, oh my gosh, isn't so odd? There's a guy and you think he's cute. Why are you doing? I thought we got rid of that freaking stereotype with Mannequin 2 in the 1980s, you jackasses. Come on. And that's the big problem. They don't write characters when they virtue their signals or signal their virtues. They don't write characters. They write caricatures. And it doesn't matter what demographic it is. It doesn't matter. They're going to go so far to the freaking left with the worst racist stereotypical characterization. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous the way they did that.
There will not be another good Tim Drake story because every story is going to be about him trolling for dude.
What's this thing going on every cover of Aquaman nowadays? What is wrong with the back of gay characters' necks that they're all rubbing their freaking necks? They're 15 years old. They shouldn't have that much neck pain. Okay,
it's a guy trying to show off his chest.
They're always like,
but
and they're always colored like pastel colors. It's like, come on. You didn't do this for
I was gonna say though that
years. Even Aqualad, the Aqualad, they're trying to make Aquaman now. Even he's been around now for 20 years. And do you know what he's never acted like? What they're portraying in that comic book. It's ridiculous the way they're doing that.
I think he's been around for 10 years.
He's been around since 2007.
He came around. Which one?
Not the original Aqualad that that
Young
was
Justice Aqualad.
Yeah, the one they had.
That guy came out. He appeared in the Brightest Day miniseries.
Well, I was going all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah, I'm just but even Kaldor has been he's been pretty much the same as far as that. He's not your typical gay stereotype that they do for every meeting. Whenever the gay person they ask, they're so flamboyant. Hey, girl, queer, and not everybody's queer eye for the straight guy, or not everyone is flamboyant when they're gay. There are serious gays, they act normal.
So,
it's
Heavy, I'll shift the conversation just a touch. Heavy is asking about Judgment Day at Marvel. And I was like, good Lord. Oh, I can't believe they're doing this. The mutants are deviants now. You're going to have X-Men versus Avengers versus... Remember villains. Remember bad guys.
Yep.
It just...
No,
I know, right? Not at Marvel.
Remember when Magneto flooded New York?
That was the Ultimate Universe. So.
That was a horrible storyline, but could we have that back, please?
That version.
The bad guys. They're doing so many hero versus hero stories since Civil War. Yeah, I'm done. I'm over it.
You go back and count how many world-changing events they announced every time they came out since Civil War. This is gonna shake up the Marvel Universe. World War Hulk, all new, all different. It's dude, you haven't done anything new.
Is there
a nice personal story with personal stakes that we can get into and we can relate to the characters?
Is there any character still suffering the effects of the King in Black storyline?
Eddie Brock, I guess, and his son, and
only
Dylan.
Because Cates wrote both of those, but every other character, every character that was affected by that, it just resets. Just like whatever this thing Dan Slott's doing right now, that's gonna have no repercussions. Any event, anything, any effects from Empire, any effects from oh God, what was the one that was real big a couple of years ago?
Secret Empire?
No, I mean it's 2 years ago. Something rain, and I don't know who cares.
Aren't they bringing
War
back
of Realms?
Yes, the
War
second
of
one. not to be confused with the good one that was written by Emmett and Lanning.
Yeah,
they took away. They turned Jane Foster into Valkyrie. That's the only thing that happened.
That's it. Okay, well, that's more than we usually get.
Yeah, they killed off characters and then they're back.
Oh, of course they are.
Of course, Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow. I'm sure there's a few more that have been died and brought back recently.
The entirety of X-Men.
Multiple times. This shows they're like, you know, it's. Remember the people who are pissed that Bucky came back? Guess what? We're just gonna kill everybody and bring him back in the same issue.
That, by the way, is somebody who was that guy who was in for a little bit. You guys don't complain about this and just pay attention. I don't know. I know. We've been ranting for a while here, but let's
no
see.
donkeys have been hurt. We were ranting in the end.
But that's all I have to say about Judgment Day. When you do this for as long as I have, when you do the YouTube thing and you're reviewing comics and you're talking about it, I can't speak to anybody else. But with me, I'm not as excited as I just don't get excited about things. I have kind of killed that in me by doing this. It's more like, okay, I'll wait and see. I hope it's good. I hope everything is good, you know, and I'm not one to jump on the other side of it either. I was told it's called black pilling, where you hate everything just at the very announcement of it. I'm very much right in the middle of all these things. I'm not dumb enough that I can't see that it's going to have Cecil Castellucci's name on it and probably be bad, but I do hope that this is the one she hits out of the park, no matter what I'm about to read. Same with Mariko Tamaki. I did a video actually embarrassing myself in retrospect where I talked about how Mariko Tamaki is failing upwards and gets Detective Comics. So what does she do? She gets me back by actually writing Detective Comics well. And that's what I want every freaking time. I'm hoping that these writers and artists, I'm hoping that Vita Ayala brings us the new Dark Knight Returns. I doubt it. I seriously doubt it.
Gonna happen?
What?
The new Secret Invasion brought to you by Squirrel Girl writer Ryan North. Probably not going to get it there either.
Again? It was only 10. Marvel is the lack of idea.
I heard also a rumor they're bringing back the White Nick Fury.
They did.
Well, they did.
He came back in Slot's thing, but they did. But now
it was actually him.
Now the Watchers only became Watchers because they tried to get involved in things and they screwed everything up. Because these, you see, maybe companies do need a crisis, even Marvel at some point, because you think about the things that have happened now. Okay, we got Bucky back 17 years ago. That worked, but it took someone with the vision of Ed Brubaker to make it work. Now we have Black Bolt sitting in a prison cell with Absorbing Man, gabbing it up like a couple of Elvini at the gossip fence and Snuffy Smith. How's that for a dated reference?
What? I will take that over a bunch of the crap that we're getting now.
But I'm saying, but you've got Galactus is now the herald of someone even more Galactus-y. And the Watcher were, they
the bunch of screw ups.
Yeah, a bunch of screw ups. I'm sorry, the whole thing with Nick Fury becoming a Watcher. At some point, you're out of just best way to put it. If something hasn't been done up to now, maybe there's a reason for it. Somebody really needs to tell that to Donnie Cates. I just want to quickly address One Infinity. I can't just say Nick Fury because Marvel's ruined that for you. So if they say original Nick Fury, they think of Samuel L. Jackson's. That's the original one. I have to specify his race and his skin color because
the white Nick Fury. Yeah,
because the original. No one knows that there actually was one.
Well,
unless you're actually a comic nerd and you've been around the block, been reading stuff. But if you're new to this, normie, you're like, oh, what are you talking about? Samuel Jackson's always been, Nick Fury's always been black. He's never been white. That's just racist. Why would you say that? There are people like that, and you got to specify.
I think you hear the accusations of racism if you suggest you want old Nick Fury back, but that's about it. Because you could argue that new Nick Fury is a one-trick pony, I guess. But ultimately, I think that they've gotten rid of a certain gruffness. I do appreciate the fact that they do seem to write them as two different characters, and at least that's appreciated. They didn't just blackface Nick Fury. They actually created a new character out of him. I think it's ridiculous to call the Samuel L. Jackson Nick Fury the son of white Nick Fury, but you do you, Marvel. You seem to manage to be more and more racist every time you actually fix things.
I'll just say that, Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury is a legacy Nick Fury. He's not the first.
He is Nick Fury Jr.
He is Nick Fury Jr., yeah.
His name is, I think, Nick Fury Jr.
It is in the books. It is Junior.
Yeah.
And plus, the original one didn't lose his eye to a cat.
That is true. What a bad explanation.
Give him
time.
time.
Recently, I'm watching the Marvel Universe in chronological order, which basically just means you watch Captain Marvel after Captain America, and then you put Black Widow in its place at the trash heap where it belongs. But it just, I just watched the Captain Marvel movie. I was thinking, okay, fingers crossed, you're gonna find something to like about this movie. No, sorry, gang. It just is not good. It's not a good movie. It's a legitimate, like I still say that's the bottom of the barrel. Say what you will about Thor Dark World, there is still stuff to love.
You know what the funny
Say
thing
what
is?
you will about Black Widow, and I've said a lot about how bad Black Widow is. There's still some cool things in it, but there is literally nothing to grab onto in Captain Marvel, and they miscast her. I don't know.
Yeah, Tevye saying, where's Ultimate Nick Fury from the Ultimate Marvel Universe? Well, the cartoon universe was actually much more entertaining than the comic book version.
Yeah,
he was more Samuel L. Jackson, and I love that more because it's you gotta make him. If you want stupid Nick Fury version, you're gonna go with that one. The comedy one, where just using slang words and all that stuff. Where you can go the original one, he just sat there, smoked his cigar, and just swore, and he's like, if he was the Clint Eastwood. That's what I think of Nick Fury, the original one. I think of it as he's the Clint Eastwood, the Dirty Harry. You don't want to piss him off. You don't. Right. Wolverine did a couple times, and it's just like he'd put you in your place.
Yep, I agree on Black Widow and Captain Marvel. They were just okay to me, Some Captain Marvel was bad. Black Widow was just okay. Black Widow suffers. It suffered, in my opinion, for the action sequences. Like, I loved the family sequences. The parts where you actually got to a feeling and an idea of what Black Widow had to go through in the Red Room. The fact that Red Guardian wanted his fake family to be a real family, and he tried to instill that in the kids and everything, but they weren't having it because they remember being taken away. And I like that kind. The story was okay up to the part where they started having to punch each other, and it became, we're gonna stop faceless Black Widows coming after Black Widow, and it was just. I think
they had to do that because some of the filming was during quarantine.
Yeah.
So they couldn't actually do action like they normally would have.
Yeah, and
there was a bit of no touching, no nothing.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like a comic book movie to me. I enjoyed it.
Like I said, there were things I enjoyed about it. Because I watched half of it, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch all of them.
Taskmaster, yes. if you thought it was really gonna be Taskmaster in there, the male version, like you're gonna realize this is MCU. They don't follow source material, no matter what movie you're watching.
Very good, but look, a lot of things don't. We've got
And
Elseworld, we got What Ifs.
They still could bring in the male version. Now they have the technology. Somebody, or they got the technology from the original guy who they held prisoner.
Yep,
and now he's free because the guy's dead.
Faster.
So so the guys, that female Taskmaster was just a knockoff version. But like I said, it's MCU. I take everything with a grain of salt when I watch anything from them.
Team up with Bigfoot after they do that.
Right.
Big show.
Hey, if you haven't done it already, make sure you're hitting the like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. All the good stuff we need to have done here. Is anyone watching Peacemaker? You mean the greatest freaking superhero show ever made? Hell yes, I am. I love that freaking show. I love it from the opening to the close. I remember what you do call the Black Pills saw the opening dance number. They went after it. I didn't watch it because I'm like, okay, I'm going into this fresh. I don't want to know anything about it beyond what I know about with the Suicide Squad. And when they, do you really want to do your, I was just losing my shit. I love this show. This show is so freaking awesome.
You know what?
Yeah, what?
I was going to say, maybe you don't get super chats because you don't drop everything to acknowledge them when you do.
There you go. I was going to after I finished this sentence. Hey, Mr. DC Comics, thank you very, very much for the super chat. Who's saying, what are your thoughts on the New Gods by Jack Kirby, John Byrne, and Orion by Walter Simonson? Well, thank you very much for the super chat. And the question, now I have not yet read the Walter Simonson Orion. I don't remember reading that. But the New Gods by Jack Kirby. Are we just talking New Gods or the whole Fourth World thing?
I did like the Orion pictures, I thought they're
Orion pictures, yes, but that wasn't by Walt Simpson. No, actually, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of what Jack Kirby did over at DC Comics. I know he's not the greatest writer, but it's a story that he had been trying to tell for years and years and years at Marvel, and by the time he got to do it over with New Gods, I just think it's incredibly inventive.
It could have benefited from Stan's dialogue, and it's a shame he wasn't able to do it over there. As far the Burns New Gods and the Orion, the Simonson's Orion, I didn't appreciate him like I should have. If I get a chance to read him again, I'll jump on that chance.
When did that come out?
Mid to late 90s, I think.
I may have read that. I
think it was late 90s to early 2000s.
Because there was another New Gods series right post Crisis in the late 80s.
Yeah, and I remember reading that.
And then the Byrne one was a few years after that.
Yeah, but no, I'm a big fan of what. Actually, I'm a big fan of Jack Kirby's 70s work now more than I was then.
Yeah, like same here.
I've checked out the Eternals. I've enjoyed that. I like the New Gods. I'm not the biggest fan of the Forever People. See, one thing that a lot of people don't know about Jack Kirby was a true artist in every way, shape, or form. He saw comic books as it's never reached its full potential. I think he'd be impressed by some of the stuff that had been going on for in the 2000s and so forth. I don't know about now, but he thought that the medium could be used in ways that it just wasn't. So he was a bit trippy. I would hesitate a little bit, but I don't think I would be way off to say that he's kind of a hippie. If you read his history, if you read the stuff about him, and I've done more than a couple of videos that I'm comfortable enough to say that he was a bit of a hippie. And when you read the Forever People, you get that. You really get that idea. But no, I am a big fan of Jack Kirby. Obviously, every year in August we do something to honor him because that's his birth month. And my daughter opened the door to her bedroom. My bedroom door is open, and the bird saw that, so now the bird's going nuts.
I'll still say that Jimmy Olsen was the best of the four.
I think so too. Also,
there was a lot of things that, I mean, he created Cadmus, and brought back the Newsboy Legion, blah blah blah. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff.
Dark Side. Didn't he create Dark Side in that?
Yes, he did.
And now he's going to uncreate the bird.
Yeah, it's weird. Darkseid's first appearance is one panel in Morgan Edge's Watch. Yet, because his first full appearance, I think, was in Forever People. But Wolverine's first appearance is credited in Hulk 181, even though the final page of 180 is all Wolverine. Not sure how that ended up happening, but
since I've been rereading it, I think Tim Drake's first appearance was as a kid in Batman Year 438 or 436 or 37.
Come here. Come on. You need to shut up.
Like, instead of an adult, it was Tim Drake's dad asking, in the flashback, Tim Drake's dad is asking John Grayson, like, hey, this is my kid's first time at a circus. Can we get a picture? And when he was saying this is Tim's first time, and that was actually Tim Drake's first appearance. And in the next storyline, they said that the kid in that picture is trying to look for Grayson, and like that's how the character evolved.
There's some kind of creature on top of you. We cannot tell what it is.
I tried to. The thing is, the room.
I think that's Krennis.
The room away from this. The room away from this area is dark, and birds don't have great night vision. That's one of the reasons why. Well, some don't anyway. Obviously, some do. But
well, I'd say with their propensity to fly into windows, they don't have great vision. Period.
Lovebirds do not have great dark night vision. So he's afraid to go out of the light area because I've got 4 lights going on right now to make this magic happen. You need to stop. Stop.
Could have used a little more magic on Cat.
Huh?
So you said he uses 4 lights to make the magic happen. So maybe
Let me get him out of the room here.
Yeah, sort of.
Oh,
I was going to say something like,
people who don't know,
go towards the light.
This is what tweets on my videos. This is my bird, Twiddles.
If you watch the latest Old Man Comics video, you can hear him tweeting during the DC versus Marvel.
There you go. Yeah. Okay, come here. What's wrong with
turn the light in another room and just chuck them.
Don't. What are you doing?
You're choking me.
There you go. Okay, there you go. Come here. Go on down. No. He likes to do it. He'll pop his head up right here, and there you go. Come on. There you are. There you go.
So he's trying to get his bird to go down.
Yep.
We would have a whole different meaning across the pond.
Someone has to.
Now go outside of the room and tweet outside. Dang.
Unlike green Twiddles, you go towards the light.
Okay, so Peacemaker.
Peacemaker, like I said, I did not care for the first couple episodes, just like WandaVision. I've been watching it, getting into it more. It gets me more serious, less the jokes,
Oh, I love the humor in this one.
And that's kind of why I gravitated really towards that Garth Ennis one shot.
Let's get to blocking, kids. There's about 50 blue wrenches on this thing.
I think Marania left. She said, screw this place.
This guy popped up.
You know what? We got those over on our Extreme for on Sunday for Rocky 2. Where also they just started popping up, and it was like I couldn't believe. She seems like wait for keyboard.
Well, as far as Peacemaker, it's a funny show. Love it. I think I thought John Cena was the only good thing about that train wreck movie with what's that unfunny blonde comedian? What's her name? Not Ellen DeGeneres, the other one.
Oh God, what's her name?
Ugly as Sin. Like you, it just by watching
Amy Schumer.
Amy Schumer, yeah. But I thought he was funny then, and I thought, okay, this guy's gonna go places, and it just was a hell of a lot of fun. Mr. DC is saying he hates what they did to Vigilante on Peacemaker. I don't hate it. I've I think it's kind of funny. I think it fits the world that they inhabit. The whole thing about that is that I watch TV shows and I watch movies thinking it's kind of like watching an Elseworlds or a What If or something like that, because it's their telling of it. Like people getting mad about Smallville because he meets all of the important people before he becomes Superman. It's their version
Batman?
of it. It's
Gotham?
not ours. Yeah, or Gotham. Gotham did the same thing. He before he's even Batman, he goes up against all these people.
You make the world, you populate it the way you want. Guys, I'm gonna jump off of here.
I don't.
We're just at the end anyway, so
yeah, I think it's a good way, a good time. He's not being quiet. I thought maybe he would be quiet enough I could continue this. I don't mind all the bro humor, says Miss So in the show, but I won't. I wasn't even sure how close this modern version is to the. No, not even a little bit. Yeah. Since I never read them in years, I got to admit, I don't think I've read too many Peacemaker books at all.
Well, we could read them on a channel.
Okay, he was climbing on the freaking headphones. I just looked like I just realized I look like that guy in Empire Strikes Back. So there you go. All righty, kids. Thank you very much for hanging. Yes, that one. I've got my tits are way too big for Leia. Anyway,
Empire Strikes Back is the prequel to the newer, better Star Wars, right?
Yes. The okay, so what are we trying to say? Show up tomorrow. I'm sure Venkman's going to be doing. No, it's Wednesday. Venkman's going to be doing something. Friday, we're going to be doing a comic book reading as well. So check that out.
It's not Wednesday.
Thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight, guys who are talking over me.
No, I just corrected you. I'll be here tomorrow.
And as always, thank you very, very much for and even Twiddles. Twiddles is mad at me for some reason. I don't know what's going on.
We all are.
All righty. You're mad that I brought Twiddles out. All righty. You guys have a great time. Thanks for watching.
Later, people.
Good night, kids.